Okay, so the second topic I'm going to cover here in transformation geometry is axial symmetry. So you see the axis of symmetry here. In question 10.11 on page 105 in your book, you need to construct the image of the triangle ABC under axial symmetry. Alright, so I spoke about this briefly there in the previous video. The first, or the main principle of these, is that the projected lines from the original object need to be perpendicular to the axis of symmetry. So if I go with my 30 degrees, not going to be perpendicular. You can see in this case here the axis of symmetry is at 45 degrees. So what I need to do then is I need to get out my 45 degree set square. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just take all these points very lightly straight through the axis of symmetry, which is the line QR there. Okay, you can see I have more done on this page. We'll be moving on and doing this one here in a second on the video. So when I have that done, then the next step is easy. So what you need to do is, as I said in the previous video as well, the points in the original object are the same distance from the axis of symmetry as they are from the axis of symmetry to the point in the new object, or the new image of the object. So I'll put my point in my compass there where that construction line from A crosses the line or Q, measuring out to A. I'm going to swing it to the far side here, and I'm going to mark A1. I'll do the same thing then for point B, obviously moving up to the projected line from point B, and I'll do the same thing then for point C. And what this will do is it will give me an equal distance on each side of the axis of symmetry, and we're going to get a mirrored image. So let's label those points here: A1, B1, C1. Right? All we need to do now to finish this drawing here is to join up these points. Now this is like when you were in primary school or anything like that, when you folded up a page, so you painted a half a butterfly on one side, and you folded the page and it gave you the other half on the other side, a mirrored image of the original painting that you did. It's just a mirrored image of itself. Alright, that's the first one. Now the second one is a bit more complex. It's down here in the corner. I'm going to move my camera down just a small bit, and I'm going to zoom in for you. So in this one on the same page, page 105, 10.14, the figure shows a house. There it is there. Point E1 is the new position for point E. There's point E, there's point E1. When the house has been subjected to axial symmetry. Locate the axis of symmetry, draw the house in its new position. This one over here will give you an idea how to do this. So we know from the one I just did there that the axis of symmetry is perpendicular to the projected line between the original point and the new point. Right? We also know that it's halfway between the 2 points. So with that said, to get my axis of symmetry, first of all, I need to join point E to point E1. So the old point, the image of itself. Then, what I'm going to do to get the halfway point, I'm going to get the perpendicular bisector. So the perpendicular bisector, you put your point of your compass on one side of the line, open it out to more than half, scribe an arc above and below, and then put your point of your compass onto the other side of the line, and without moving it, you scribe the same arc above and below. Alright? And when you join through those two arcs, or join through those 2 points where the 2 arcs meet, what you get is you get a perpendicular bisector of the line going between, in this case, E and E1. So the original point and the image. I'm going to draw that in heavy. That there is my axis of symmetry. After that, this question is the very same as the last one. The only difference being that I'm going to need to use a sliding set square method in order to create the rest of my projected lines. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up my t-square here at an angle on the board. You see that? And I'm going to put my 30 degree set square on top of it, and I'm going to line it up with the original line. And I'm going to move it over then here and start projecting lines from the rest of the points. So A, B, C, and all these lines I'm projecting, because I lined up my set square, are going to be perpendicular to the axis of symmetry, which is vital. So I can mark that in there if I want. They are perpendicular, they're 90 degrees. Alright, now I've just marked the points that are labelled for a second. All I'm going to do next is I'm going to get my compass, same method as before, point on the axis of symmetry, open out to A, scribe A1. Point on the axis of symmetry, open out to B, scribe B1. Point on the axis of symmetry, open out to C and scribe C1, and then the point on the axis of symmetry down here, the projected line from B, open out to D and scribe D1. Alright, so those are my new points now, and I can label them C1, B1, obviously I'm just looking here and I'm transferring the label across, A1 and D1. E1 was already given to us, that's how we were able to draw the axis of symmetry. When that's done, then we can start joining up points that would join up in the original. So A1 to B1, E1 to D1, we'll join across here, we'll join B1 to D1 as well. We'll join A1 to E1. Then we'll join up for the ridge of our house, or the apex of the roof. And there we go, that's the image of the outside of the house. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to label the rest of the points here that I don't have. So F, G, and H, right? And what I'm going to do then is I'm going to set up my sliding set square again. So get my angle down here. Take my angle off any of these lines, because they're all parallel, all these projected lines. And I'm going to start bringing down these points F, G, H. And when I have that done, then I'm able to draw in the rest of the house. Alright, I could get my compass for point G there. I know where the other two are because they're crossing over walls. I could get my compass for point G and swing it around, or I could just use sliding set squares, but I'm just going to get my compass and swing it around. So G1, F1, H1. Now, the door, we join these points like this, and then we have our door, and that is the image of that house there under axial symmetry. We found the axis symmetry also. Thank you.